quite a nice beer.
So, good evening, everybody. This is On Your Health, Dominic. Good evening, everybody. This is another talk, Kiron talk. On Thursdays, we are trying to explore in this informal, casual conversation round how digital means can help for education and can help for empowering people. We have Sabrina Konzok, who is working with Send, the social entrepreneur network in Germany. Dominic, the initiator of this talk, who is working at Kiron, Open Higher Education. And we have especially our guests today, which are Carina Lange from GIZ Togo, and her co-worker, Emmanuel Adzonyo, if I remember the name well.
Exactly.
And thank you. And he's joining from Togo, and she's joining from Germany, although she belongs to Togo now. And we want to learn something about her latest adventure, which was a hackathon in Togo, and it apparently was a very brilliant, and it was aiming at helping people during the Corona crisis. It was called joining contre. What was the exact title? It wasn't for sex. That's alors. The Tous contre Corona, everybody against Corona, and we want to learn about that and about Togo. And well, I should just pass the word over to Sabrina to ask the first question. Oh.
Sabrina seems to be frozen.
Sabrina is frozen.
Okay. Well, then we start right away. Carina, can you say something about what your work is and how you came here to this conversation?
Yes, for sure. I think many reasons. I know Sabrina since a long time, and we've been like following each other's work since quite some time. And I think now the occasion was really that hackathon in Togo, which was a civil society initiative that was started really spontaneously in response to the COVID crisis. And we kind of came up with that idea in the end of March when like the first COVID cases were discovered in Togo, and then we planned everything really quickly. And the hackathon took place during the Easter weekend. And now we're still continuing to accompany the project, and we have like amazing ideas that came out of that. And we're still working with them. And everything was planned by a civil society initiative, as I said, and then supported by the Togolese government and also by the German Development Corporation, by GIZ. And yeah, maybe I hand over to Emmanuel because he just came back from a tour visiting all the different projects, and he might be able to tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. But Emmanuel, before we get to know all these exciting results, the first question I would have, why doing it? Where was the idea coming from? What situation do we have now in Togo regarding COVID, and then, of course, regarding the digital world?
Thanks for inviting me to this webinar today. The situation about coronavirus in Togo today is maybe I can say stability, because today we have up to 400 and something people who are infected today, but we have about more than 200 recovered. So it is stability. Maybe I can say also we have this high number because of prisoners who are more infected. That the case. So maybe we are working. We are free. We are going out and coming back with the situation today. So there's no really confinement, I would say. So the situation is also good.
All right. So, and now you participated in organizing this hackathon. So this big online meeting of ideas and people. So how does this come about? Why and why now? And who was involved?
Okay, I would say the idea came from Carina. It is Carina with my colleague Lisa who start thinking about it, and I was invited to join the team and work on it. I find the idea so valuable because we were watching, without knowing exactly how we can face this virus. So this kind of update is a valuable one, so that people, even me, citizens, everybody that feel that engagement can join and work in collaboration to find solutions. So this is a good idea from Karina, and thank you again.
I mean, there's a huge difference, of course, between having ideas and making them happen. So the interesting thing is also how can you make a hackathon work, especially maybe under the conditions you are now? I mean, how did you manage to get people together to develop ideas, and how many people took part?
Okay, something worked with
Yeah,
us.
that's a,
Sorry,
Maybe
Emmanuel
there is
first.
something
I should have
we can't
pointed to
exactly.
someone first. Emmanuel, carry
go
on.
ahead.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sorry.
okay. There is something we can't really explain, is that when we when the project is the hackathon is announced to people, they were they were really impressed. They were really impressed, and everyone that hear about the hackathon uh, want want now to join it and to see what will be come out of this hackathon. So everyone we asked for to help in something everywhere, they were very engaged and compare and try to support us to go to.
I think what really played out was our whole network because as Emmanuel said, like everything just came up out of a very spontaneous idea. Like one morning when we were realizing that actually COVID will also come to Africa, obviously, and it arrived like 2 months after it arrived to Europe. And first we were kind of like really in shock, and it was like, okay, the whole health system is very weak, and how are we going to manage that? So we were in a kind of like in a shock mode, and then very quickly we passed into an action mode, and um, everything started with a like core team, I would say, of 5 people who were really convinced of that idea. So we all brought our networks in and kind of joined forces, and that was what made the whole hackathon possible in a very short time.
I think maybe we should take one step back for a minute, because I realize we're all talking about hackathons, but possibly a lot of people don't know exactly what we mean, and probably there's lots of different types of hackathons. So could you explain a little bit of how it was? And I know that Sabrina was involved in a big one here in Berlin, so maybe she can chip in first. But maybe, Carina, you just explain a bit more about what the hackathon was as an idea, as a way of creating
Sure.
a kind of participative process.
Sure, yeah, and definitely, like I got that initial idea thanks to that hackathon Sabrina also participated in. So the Vir versus Virus hackathon in Germany and the Estonian hackathon beforehand were clearly the inspiration. And I think like hackathon is just a combination of like hack, so hacking a crisis or hacking a problem, and then marathon. So it's just a combination. And we kind of like we loved the concept, and we got very inspired by different hackathons that were already run worldwide at that moment. And we kind of decomposed the whole concept and really um, decided what was useful for Togo, because we were pretty aware that the internet connection is very bad in some areas, and that not everybody has the digital literacy that is needed or has access to the hardware that is also needed. So we really tried to rethink the whole concept, and we got in touch with a software enterprise in Germany, Hype Innovation, who provided us with platform, and we set up a whole network, a huge network of mentors from Togo, and Emmanuel was leading the different mentors, and they provided very tight support to all the teams and all the participants, which was really, really helpful and really needed. So we found a whole new way of collaboration and teamwork and developing digital literacy, even if you have a crisis situation and a very weak connectivity. So it was really amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Just jumping in there, I hope my connection stands now, and I'm always joking that the internet connection in the Black Forest in Germany is worse than some other places we would think. So you just witnessed that. But I mean, we had similar challenges maybe in the German version of the hackathon, right? Because where hackathons come from, it's more from the tech environment, right? So everyone who codes or as an engineer, like they would know and they would have participated in one. And to be honest, it was also my first hackathon, which was a big challenge in itself, right? To understand how is it run, how do we actually come to solutions, but also especially like how do we include people who have never done a hackathon and also who might struggle with technology, right? So we also had some older people joining even, who never used, like we use Slack as a communication tool, right? And then we actually saw teams helping each other and helping the people who have never used Slack or other tools, and made them familiar. So Emmanuel, I'm super interested to hear, like, how did you do that? And how did you get mentors to support the participants?
Okay, it, for me, this was a surprise because we didn't imagine in the beginning that people will be keen in using some using, for example, computers, phones, smartphone to work where they are not together. Uh, this coronavirus teach us something that we need more uh, digital literacy, because it's not so easy for people. For example, for those who are in not in Lome, the thing here is that if you are not in Lome, you are you are maybe in other town in the country, you don't have the same access to internet like you are in Lome. There are some people who are maybe in the north part of the country who use their phone to work from there with other people here in Lome. So we were surprised, even though they were not easy for them. Maybe those who have to go out and go to cafe, those who have to maybe negotiate with those who have Wi-Fi somewhere to work there. So it was not easy, but uh, the teamwork was something very great in this process because they help each other going through. And even though the internet connection was not good, they do what they can do at that time.
And we saw amazing things like Emmanuel. Do you remember, for example, that one mentor who paid the whole internet credit for his team because the team
Yeah,
couldn't afford
exactly.
it?
Exactly.
Or then, as you said, people who went to internet cafes or who negotiated with a cousin who had a Wi-Fi connection and then they went there. And then also people really collaborating offline and working through somebody who had an internet connection. And this was really amazing to see. And we kind of discovered that sometimes we think that digitization and granting access is always something so complicated, but in the end, if you have to do it, it works. So that was a nice discovery, actually. Also, that is also true for digital literacy. If you have a common goal or a common challenge that you want to achieve, and you kind of put teams to work around that, then you can actually build other capacities and other kind of life hacks to achieve even other goals. And I think that was a very interesting learning.
And for this hackathon, did you manage to also have people from across the country in Togo? Because I'm sure as well it was much easier to get people involved in Lomé. But yeah, did you manage?
Maybe I would say this hackathon was something new to people, and they wanted to experience it because maybe we had before some hackathon in some labs here, but not at this level. But people saw they are talking about hackathon to find solution against coronavirus. Uh, it seemed like they were waiting for something like that.
Hmm.
So even though they are not in Lomé, in other part of the country, they just want to participate to see what is it exactly.
Hmm.
That's what I mean, maybe I can say. So that to experience it, exactly what I can say is.
I think
And then
that's
the
a...
best,
No, go on,
yeah,
Carina,
sorry.
please.
No, I just always like, because we have so many stories that we are totally fond about, and
Yeah.
like what I really loved from the visit that Emmanuel and the whole team just did in the like at Lomé mostly to see and to meet the teams, and we also had to have different video calls with them all the time because we set up that whole system to accompany them even through them to really operationalize their project. And what they said is that the hackathon kind of brought a new spirit and some positive mindset, so everybody really got in another dynamic and was like more like going more positively through that crisis because there was that project and there were that these teams following up on them and also encouraging them all the time. And we really had the perfect person who was always encouraging the teams and boosting them and giving them confidence and motivation. So Lisa, who accompanied the teams, was really always pushing them, and we were super happy to have that feedback that actually it brought that positive dynamic and that positive spirit, and that the participants also continued to work on other projects that they kind of abandoned before, but they got that new dynamism. And I think this is really something that or the like also one of the very nice feedbacks we got.
Well, what is I saw there was kind of not a competition, but there was people making proposals, presenting ideas how to work together during the Corona crisis. Well, could you tell us what were the results in general? What did they do, and what of it has some duration afterwards?
So it was not a competition actually. That was very important to us. So like our common enemy is the COVID virus and all its implications on the economy in Togo. So we didn't have any winner and we didn't have any losers, and everything was just like the goal was to collect the most successful and innovative projects and to highlight them in a project vitrine, like in a showcase somehow, where we present the projects with a video and a pitch deck, and we try to get for them individually. So yeah, that is supporting us, and other actors are supporting us as well. And then we have to see for every project individually how we can kind of sell them to donors, or how we can find or build partnerships around. And then also our mentoring is quite substantial, as we mentioned. And with that, we try to really get the support every project needs, but we're still not where we would like to be. So we see that it's still a long journey. For us, it's really a marathon. So it's totally not over after the end of the hackathon. And for example, we also set up a crowdfunding, but we figured that crowdfunding is also not very easy. So we have a better fund, which you can maybe link in the video, I don't know. And we try to get or collect funds, for example, for granting internet connection and those kinds of things that don't really cost much. We figured that these are often really inhibiting the project to go further, and it's very difficult to get these small funds often. So we started the crowdfunding scratch, and we continue to accompany all the projects, and some of them already showing some first results. So maybe Emmanuel, you can talk about the lavabo intelligent as an example.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yes, we had various solutions, especially this lavabo intelligence, we call it. It's kind of automatic, how you call it in English, lavabo?
Wash basin.
Wash present is
Mm.
intelligent one that we don't usually have in Togo. Maybe there are some, you can see them some some places, but it is something that we don't usually have. So it was very important that somebody, a youth of I think 18 years, that innovate this kind of things is so very surprising. So we were even with him yesterday to see him, to talk with him, and if you see those kind of people, those kind of youth working on those kind of innovation, it's very interesting. So we were very impressed with those solutions.
Sorry, what was it? A washing bowl for disinfecting, or and how did it work, and where did it go, and who does use it? And I don't get it.
Uh,
Or
it's
is
a
it virtual?
washing board that we can use in every place. Can use in every place just to avoid touching the board.
Mm.
So you can automatically, if you put your hand, you can have the the soap before, after you have the water, so you can wash your hand without touching
It's like a prototype.
the prototype. This.
Yeah, it's a prototype, and actually it's made also from recycled material, partly, and it's very cheap to produce, and it's really an innovation because that's not something that is like, I mean, it exists in other parts of the world, but not in Togo. And then he also added a disinfectant, for example, and he kind of conceived, like, so that very young engineer, he's only 18 years old, he developed the whole prototype himself, and he didn't know that it already existed differently in Europe. So, but still, I mean, it's amazing, and the material he's using is totally different. And he already put a prototype in different places in Lomé, and we try to accompany him to create his enterprise now and to scale his solution. So this is just one of the examples to kind of illustrate that some of the projects um, are really like you can really see them and touch them and use them, but you don't need to touch the wash basin actually, because this is obviously really automatic.
But that's what I wanted to ask actually. So how technical or how digital are the solutions from the hackathon, or because they can also be other things. They can be new ways of organizing certain processes. So what kind of, so that's a very tactile, that's a very, very material kind of solution. What other kind of solutions did you have?
They are really different. So we have kind of like the spectrum of solutions is very, very broad, and also the needs of the product are super different. And the solutions are really ranging from, like, we have these concrete things like the wash basin, but then we also have, for example, a hotline for victims from domestic violence. And so kind of services being set up, and then a chatbot for detecting COVID-19, or we have a project that is trying to foster art and creativity during the crisis, or another project that wants to draw graffitis with street children to raise awareness on COVID in a way that everyone can understand, even if you are not able to read and write. So, you know, it's very like there's everything from communications to tools and services, and then also, for example, education, obviously. So digital education, and yeah, I could tell about them all because they're really, all of them are great, but just to show that a really, really broad range.
I mean, one thing I think is interesting is I think there are a lot of parallels between what you've done in Togo and also the German example, because I think, as Sabrina said, I mean, there are a lot of very, very different people who took part. I think a lot of people also, the same as you said, Emmanuel, I think a lot of people took part because they were just curious, and they also just thought, well, everyone talks about hackathon. What is it exactly? And I also think probably this idea that, you know, it helped everyone's digital literacy to a certain extent is also true. But Sabrina, you've never really told us much about the hackathon in Germany. So maybe you could tell us similar stories from there.
Well, I have to say, if you look back at it, for sure we were more overrun and less planned than maybe you guys. So I think it was totally not anticipated that we have challenges like people with a lower digital literacy, right? Because I think that's also sometimes what we lack when working in Germany, like that understanding that not everyone knows how to set up a Google Drive or how to set up a Slack account or whatever. So I feel that was, looking back, something I would have done differently, but obviously it was, I think, from an idea that was created on Monday to, what was it, 42,000 people signing up on a Friday. And I think then like around 30,000 actually participated in the end. And over 1,000 companies that also offered support. And I think the attention was so big because it was after the one you mentioned, Carina, the first one at the very beginning of the crisis. So there was a big attention. There were also participants from outside of Germany, actually, what you don't hear so often. So they were also from all over. And we even had English teams then and had to translate some of the materials, right? Because we developed everything in German. Because again, like in Germany, like maybe like in Togo as well, you can't expect everyone to speak English. So that's a bit what took place. And then within the 2.5 days, yeah, so many great ideas were developed, and then some were elected like the top 20. And one of them, for example, has been implemented as well by German ministry now, and 20 projects are now also part of the solution enabler, where we're trying to do the same thing you're trying to do, right? To support the teams, really push them forward, which is then my project together. And they've built a whole infrastructure of support, like the mentors, just like you do as well, and also foundations and others that are supporting and trying to build up the resources needed, because obviously, like, if it's a digital solution or also like an offline solution, you need the time from the team that they can put actually the time into it, and you also need some resources to make it happen. But in the end, I would really say, like, looking at the examples you just mentioned, it's very similar, right? Because no matter where we live, like during Corona, we kind of all face rather similar challenges, obviously in different...
Well, Sabrina, sorry, exactly, this is not what I thought. I mean, we say you, Carina used the word digital literacy also, you too, and you now said that it doesn't matter where you live. I just thought the contrary. I mean, it's a big difference if you live in West Germany or you live in Africa, and digital literacy might mean something totally different. I would first like to know, maybe from Emmanuel, what the economical situation is and how the access to computers, internet, and technology is necessary now to improve the economy, or is this not the most needed thing? How what is the situation in Togo to say, well, we need more digital literacy and to have people participate in the economy maybe, but I don't know how it is there, so I wouldn't say that it is the same as I couldn't believe that it would be the same as in Germany. So Emmanuel, can you tell us something about why you think that the use of technological tools and knowing how to use internet and so on is very important now in Togo, or is not? Or
Okay, let's start with this example, the example of coronavirus. Because of coronavirus, we realize today that we need technology. We need more technology. Just to say that we didn't have technology before, but we have it. But we need more technology. We need more to stay at home and work. For example, I can say today people have more access to uh, those kind of gadgets. Maybe phone, you can easily find phone. You can easily find Android. You can easily find smartphones. But the access is internet connection is the problem. It is still expensive for us. For example, considering the our our level of revenue for everybody to have access to internet. Maybe you can purchase 200 internet. Maybe you can use it for uh, maybe half of day. Maybe it depends on what you are doing. You are doing with it. But people who can purchase 200 francs CFA
Mhm.
internet connection, maybe they are just using it to with WhatsApp or Facebook. Maybe if you want to use Facebook with it, Facebook with that connection, you can maybe you do just 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. But we have today access to those phone, maybe smartphone or something like that. But the most important is how the internet connection can be more cheap for people, so that they can easily do what they want to do. That's the really point today.
Yeah, but also Carina, how is the economic structure in Togo? How many people are working in agriculture? How many work in tech? Where is the most urgency of let's say technological improvement, and where is other things are needed? I mean, I don't understand the real relation
I'd
and
like
the
to jump.
importance.
I'd like to jump in for a second because this is always the
Yeah.
point where Tino's trying to create a controversy.
No, it's
I
not.
Yeah,
mean,
because
It's
we
we were
can't.
talking as if we need computers to breathe. But maybe we need. But
Yeah,
then I would like to know
but
why.
I think it's because
yeah,
you've
but
already started dichotomy between tech workers and how many people are working in agriculture, as if
that's
anyone in agriculture wouldn't be doing that. So actually, Carina, I don't want to change the question. I just want to tell you that you can answer it. You don't have to answer it in a kind of a combative way.
yeah, no, and that's not what I would like to do, because I think you kind of both are right. I think what Sabrina just said is also very true, because for me digital literacy is not only about like being able to use a computer, but digital literacy is also about like 21st century skills, right? So like communications and collaboration and all that. And I think that in Germany we still need to improve on that as well. And then the problems are totally not the same in Togo and in Germany, obviously. But however, they are in the same categories at least. And of course, the ways or the ways we need to find new solutions are kind of similar. And I think we also have challenges in that sense in Germany. So I think that kind of I would kind of I wouldn't like to position myself in between what you both said, but I think that a mixture of it is true. And I would not like to create a dichotomy either in between like the tech sector and the agricultural sector, because in Togo, the agricultural sector is making up like almost 70% of the workforce, whereas it's a different percentage in the total economy. And I would say that like the tech sector is very is only developing now. There's some great initiatives that are popping up, and I think initiatives like the hackathon, that what we clearly saw afterwards, are really needed to kind of create a sense of community in that sector, because right now everybody is seeing each other as a concurrent, the competitor. But I think these very small and really young ecosystems in small countries in West Africa, which like in Togo is one of the smallest countries in the region and has a very small tech sector, and it can only grow if there's collaborations possible. So the hackathon was a great start to kind of get that going.
I was also just thinking myself of when I was in Benin, then I was in a startup lab in Cotonou, and most of the initiatives were about tech in agriculture, because of
Yeah.
exactly this point that most people are there and that changing something there would have a huge impact. So that was why I was just trying to kind of balance this off. And just to give the example of the fact that in a way, sometimes it's, you know, we have this tendency often to think, you know, we're a developed country here in Germany, others can learn from us. But I have a nice little story. When we were in Niger, we were talking to somebody who's responsible for pushing all the big tech projects in Niger. And he was telling us that his real key goal was to also change the processes in the public sector. And he said, I've got this kind of crazy idea, but I really want to do it. And he said, what I'm doing is I'm taking some people who are working as entrepreneurs in the startup sector, and I'm going to make them work together with people in the civil service. And when we were talking to him, my colleagues and I, we were thinking, okay, that's really crazy. That's a really difficult thing to do. So what you might or might not know is one of the major organizers of this big hackathon in Germany was a company called, an organization called, I think, Tech for Germany. And their goal is exactly to do the same thing. So that's exactly this point. The same ideas were happening at exactly the same time in Niger and in Germany. And that's the kind of exciting thing I find about this whole tech thing. It's we're getting this kind of, in a way, this flat world. And because of that, the chances of cooperation are so much higher. Emmanuel, I think I interrupted you because I think you wanted to say something on this point as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. To continue what Carina said yet, I would like to say something. It's about access to technology. There is something I'm watching today. If the population had as more access to technology today, maybe when the government was saying to stay home, to not go out, and so on, they can easily stay home and maybe purchase from home because we don't have access to that technology. Because if you go out today and go to markets, you can see people coming and going like there is nothing, like there is nothing. So all those people are at risk.
Mm.
So this point is very important. So I think we can do more in kind of access of technology, even to simply internet connection today. If you have that access, we can improve many things here. Even with a simple smartphone, we can do everything.
I would have another question, which was related, I think, to something we've already mentioned a little bit, which is the whole question of language. So, of course, we know in Togo that one of the official languages is French, but we also know there's a lot of local languages. How did you deal with that with the hackathon, or did you just have to say, okay, for simplicity, we just keep to French?
You know, even though everyone, all those people who participate in the hackathon can easily speak French.
Mm-hmm.
So we did everything in French, and even though maybe I don't know if there are some people in some teams that can't speak French. I don't know,
Yeah.
but they easily work together. There is something here I can say that all those people who can develop solution, who can innovate in something, uh, went to school or at some levels, so they can easily even say the basic things in French and work together. The difficult point is English. You see now, I'm just trying to speak it, not at not so fluently, but I'm trying. So we have this chance, this lucky that there were not people from Anglophone background who participate in hackathon. Maybe if there were some people from Anglophone background, maybe we can deal with it because Carina is there, Lisa is there and everybody is there. We can easily work on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
So
bridged,
plenty
as I
started
said
by
it was, sorry.
Mm.
And I think like and I know that some of the mentors worked also in other languages than French, which was totally fine. So we were actually totally open to everything that was efficient for the team, so that was working for the teams. And we also had mentors joining in from the US, for example, and like from kind of all over the, no, not all over the world, that would be exaggerated. It was, however, the focus was remaining on Togo, but we had also some international mentors joining. And yeah, I think the language issue, as Emmanuel said, most of them were like fluent in French. It was rather the digital literacy that was difficult. So understanding the platform we were using, understanding, for example, how you write an email, just which seems very basic for us, but then we figured that, as I mentioned before, the mentors help them to send the emails, or they help each other on very basic technological issues. And I also kind of found myself explaining someone how to clean his smartphone because it was too full of stuff and he couldn't download anything else, or how to I don't know, cut a video or something like that, you know. So we were all like going into a role that we didn't expect at all. But the cool thing was that everybody was totally okay with that, and everybody on the team was very flexible and very adaptive. And yeah, it was just kind of trying to bridge that gap that was rather on the like technology literacy, digital literacy.
Well, Carina, as we are already coming to the end of the meeting, I'd want to ask. I mean, and now you have done this wonderful thing, and I read there were like 380 participants, and there are these projects that have been presented and will now be put into place. Can you tell us at the end what are the next steps? What are you going back to Togo, and what are the next plans?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to Togo as soon as I can. Like at the moment, we're also working remotely in Togo, so we're also like not really encouraging physical meetings either. So it's not really changing my support on my work at the moment. But I'm going to get back as soon as possible, and we're kind of seeing this at the end as some pilot that we would never have done in a normal situation, I think, because it was so quick and then so efficient that we were kind of yeah, we're really happy now that we did that first experience. And as we're also developing different e-learning offers, for example, we really see the connection, and we would like to develop that method somehow, that method of the hackathon, further to use that as a tool to increase digital literacy as well. And but we're pretty sure as well that we need to keep that dimension of solving problems, because as I said before, you need something to attract people and something they really want to work on, a problem they want to solve that is very close to their kind of everyday life. And then you increase and enhance digital literacy on the go somehow. And I think we are going to develop that method further, and yeah, see that as a pilot, as a first experience. And we know that the accompanying or the like accompanying the projects we have is going to be a marathon. So it's clearly not over, and we're really kind of still very close to them and really try to do everything that they are all going to be put into action. And I think we still have some way to go in that.
Well, I will hope very much that you refer not only the address of the hackathon where we can see all the examples, but also especially the link with the crowdfunding to Dominic, who will put it on in the comment in the information section of the YouTube video. I think it was a very nice talk. I'm really still curious about the meaning of technology and how it changes us.
I think
But
that's
as I always say at the end, Dominic,
yeah.
our offline friends are waiting.
I just wanted to say, I think firstly, it's always our goal that not only Tino should be curious about things, but other people as well. So that's perfect. I also wanted to say that I saw a newspaper article today from one of the German newspapers saying that you can't solve the corona issues with technology in Africa. And I think it's just a very old and simplistic idea of what technology is about. So I think it's really great to have heard about the hackathon today, because really we need to use these things to just help people to work together. That's what it's about. I mean, this is, it's like you say, Carina, this whole process has now started of participation. And what I'm so happy about is this fits so well to the talk we had last week, which was about open culture and how to work together on new things. And I think it was a perfect example of that today. Thanks. Sabrina, any last words from your side?
That was exactly what I wanted to point out, because I would stand with that thought and opinion that we share like quite similar challenges, like despite all the differences that we might have. And especially times like this, I think shows that if we can transfer some solutions, and not just from Germany to Togo, but also the other way around, I think this is the best time to learn that it actually works. Yeah, and thanks so much for being with us today and sharing all those interesting insights.